National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
My story actually begins, as far as the Federation goes, when I was 5 years old, and I didn't know at the time that my story really began with the Federation. I'm Dana Ard. I'm currently president of the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho. My first teacher that began to teach me Braille, her name was Aldine Thielander, and she was president of the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho, just the job that I am doing now. Aldine was blind, and she really made a difference in my life, even at age 5, because she came to our house in a cab independently with her guide dog. I was so impressed that a blind person could do that. And yes, she did teach me the beginnings of Braille, and she taught me also how to write with the Braille writer. When I was 12, I had another encounter with Mrs. Thielander. She gave a presentation to Y-Teens, which was a group of girls that were sponsored by the YWCA. In that presentation, she talked about being a professional woman. She talked about being in charge of knowing what clothing she had and what its colors were. One day she said she had put on a suit, and she got the belts mixed up that she had. She had two that looked just alike. But she knew these belts, if she got the wrong one, it would not look right on her suit. So she said, even though I knew it wouldn't look perfect, I pulled out a white belt. I knew it wouldn't clash. And at that time, I really realized how important it was to take charge of even the little things, including my clothing. My parents, when I was very young, discussed my future. They did not want to send me to the school for the blind. They didn't think it was normal for a blind child of 6 to be sent away from home. My mother had a good friend, Eve Williamson, who later became my godmother. And one day, Eve was reading a story in the Reader's Digest about a blind child who was going to school in California. She and my mom got together, and they agreed that if it could be done in California, it could be done in Idaho. So they agreed to meet with the head of the Department of Public Education, and they met and agreed to try it. The principal of the school that I attended, the elementary school, was, as I understand, all for it, and they said that they would give it a try. So because of that, I was fortunate enough to be the first totally blind individual to go through public school in Boise from grades 1 through 12. My mother learned Braille because there were no services that could produce all of the books that were needed. The services as far as Braille books at that time, there were some produced, but they weren't always the ones that we wanted. And so my mother learned Braille, and she put whole books into Braille, including my 6th grade science book. The first 3 years that I was in school, she got every book that she wrote or that were produced by the commercial companies. She wrote the print word above every Braille word in the books. And this, of course, is very difficult because Braille doesn't have any color. So sometimes she would complain that it really drove her eyes crazy trying to read those dots and read the words. My mother, interestingly enough, also could read some by touch. She wasn't as fast by doing it that way, but she was able to do it, and so she could show me that she could do it. Later on, we had a group from the Boise Junior League who formed a Braille transcription group. And they continued to transcribe materials for me all the way in through college and beyond as I would need them because they were actually friends of mine. From grades 1 through the beginning, 1 through 3 actually, my parents had to buy all the materials that I needed for school. They had to purchase my books because there were no such services in the public schools. When I was in my junior or senior year in high school, I can't remember which, I began reading the Braille Monitor because by then I had been introduced to the Federation by blind people in the area. And I remember one Saturday afternoon I was reading the Monitor and I said to my mom, I said, you know what? These people think like we do. That blindness isn't the problem. It's the misconceptions and the attitudes of society that are the problem. We can conquer our blindness because that's how my parents believed, including my stepfather who married my mom when I was 12. I went to college and I got my bachelor's degree in music education and then decided I wanted to go into music therapy. So I went on for further postgraduate training at the University of Kansas. I did an internship at a hospital for the mentally ill in California in order to become a certified music therapist. I practiced in my field for about 4.5 years, and then I had the opportunity to go to work at the Idaho Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired as a rehabilitation counselor. And I subsequently got my master's degree in human services with an emphasis in rehabilitation from the University of Idaho, and I did that in 2000. I have had a successful life. I have worked and recently retired, but I've had 40 years of employment, counting both my rehabilitation work of 36 years and working as a music therapist. I am married, and my husband and I own our own home. Blindness certainly poses its own challenges, but if we stop and look at it, everyone in this world has challenges. And frankly, when I look at some people's lives, I wouldn't trade their challenges for mine because I certainly wouldn't want theirs any more than probably they'd want mine. But blindness has not held me back. I've done what I've wanted to do, including being a foster parent before I got married. I've lived the life I want, and I want to continue to help others live the lives they want. I'm Dana Ard, and I'm living the life I want.
For more information about the National Federation of the Blind, please visit www.nfb.org or call 410-659-9314.